Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is GGF bringing you episode 2 of Let's Try Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous Enhanced Edition. We are in character creation part 2. Probably won't get through it all today, but who knows? Maybe we will. Just checking out the various classes and figuring out what we're going to be in this Let's Try. I realized I've really undertaken something pretty crazy here because this is a lot, but I'm gonna give it a go and hopefully we can do it. This portrait is subject to change, so wait, did I not click custom character? My bad. Custom character. But yeah, I want to see if we can do this. It is pretty cool. We're gonna love the game once we get into it. So yeah, we'll see what we can do here. We are on Druid. So let's get right into it. Druids are a 4-circle difficulty. They've got a whole lot of control, pretty good magic and support too, and a little bit of defense. Druids are guardians of balance, nature, and elements. They have access to the most powerful divine magic, coming from their connection with the natural world. In a battle, druids can empower their allies and animal companions, summon creatures to aid them, or control and weaken enemies. That sounds really cool, and gains the ability to transform into an animal. We should be reading the features and abilities too, but oh well. We might go back through again and read those actually. So we have the Blight Druid, the devoted servants of nature, corrupted, ruined, and destroyed. Blight Druids are the caretakers of lands ravaged by natural disaster. While some are devoted to reforming and reclaiming lands despoiled by the ravages of civilization, others seek out the more rapacious violence inherent in nature and feed the creeping rot and decay that brings an end to all things. Okay, they have a Blight bond. Defender of the true world. Some druids specialize in tracking down, diverting, and slaying Fae threats. Enemy of the Fae. That's really interesting. Sort of like a wizard slayer, but a Fae slayer. Droviers. View their allies and adventuring companions as a herd or pack to be protected and directed, with variations on that theme ranging from culture to culture. Interesting. Elemental Rampager. Some druids embrace the destructive aspect of nature and its elements, using this power to fuel their prowess in melee combat. Cool. Fae Speaker. Some druids hear the whispers of the natural world like Fae creatures do, and learn to mimic those tantalizing murmurs in order to influence the minds of both wild beasts and civilized people. These Fae Speakers are often touched by the Fae in some way, such as mortals who dare to eat the food and drink the wine while in the hidden halls of the Fae. Very cool. Primal Druids hone their spiritual and magical connections to nature's largest creatures, especially dinosaurs and megafauna, revering these massive creatures as living relics of a primeval time when all creatures were more in harmony with nature. Nice. Primal Size, son. A Primal Druid adds enlarged person. Winter Child. Sometimes children born in the darkest hour of winter take on a strange kinship with the blizzard that witnessed their birth. Over time, this connection is strengthened, and the Winter Child becomes a true master of snow and ice. Very cool. And we're on to Fighter. Oh my gosh, look at Fighter. 1-star difficulty. Bunch of melee, bunch of defense, bunch of ranged. Fighters are adept at physically damaging their enemies. They have access to a vast array of abilities which allows them to turn into either masters of melee fighting or deadly sharpshooters. Fighters are also great at employing armor and shields, which allows them to become reliable protectors for their allies. However, they're unable to use magic, and their weak willpower make them vulnerable to hostile magic. We have the Aldori Defender. The Aldori Swordlands of Brevoy are among the deadliest and most feared fighters of the Inner Sea. They have spent long years mastering the Aldori dueling sword, pitting themselves against other dueling swords and all manner of weaponry besides. Their speed and reflexes weave a net of impenetrable steel around them from which they strike and harry their unfortunate opponents. Guys, I just realized that the music is not on. Hang on a second. Be right back. I had the wrong audio device on. I hope the video isn't kind of ruined by that, but I mean, I hope the right audio device kicks in now. So we should hear some audio. Get a little bit of that background goodness. All right. All right, let's just... Okay, so we were on fighter. Okay. Also great at employing armor and shields, which allows them to become reliable protectors for their ally. Oh no, we were on outdoor defender. Their speed and reflexes weave a net of impenetrable steel around them from which they strike and harry their unfortunate opponents. The most common form of Aldori dueling, and arguably the easiest of the techniques to master, focuses on avoiding damage and disarming foes. These sword lords prefer to wear light or no armor, trusting their skill for protection. Sounds very cool. Armiger. Until would-be Hell Knights take the trial referred to simply as the test, in which they enter single combat with the conjured devil and either emerge victorious or die, they are known as Armigers. While this is a blanket term for all Hell Knights in training, including those training to become signifiers, or signifers, it also applies specifically to fighters who focus their training to become Hell Knights. Despite their lack of recognized rank, Armigers are skilled and deadly warriors. Most Armigers live and train at their order's citadel, working toward the day when they become full-fledged Hell Knights. These Armigers follow a brutally strict routine. They spend hours honing their combat skills against other trainees, obsessively studying in the Citadel's libraries, or memorizing passages of the Hell Knight philosophy known as the Measure and the Chain. At regular intervals, squads of Armigers emerge from their citadels to patrol nearby cities or frontier lands, working to enforce Hell Knight law and their order's edicts. Wow. Dragonair Scion. Dragonair Scions are the martially inclined humanoid descendants of those influenced by draconic power. Unlike their sorceress brethren, Dragonair Scions manifest their heritage in ways more suited to strength of arms and skill with steel than arcane energies. Those who follow this path are often the children of mighty dragon-blooded sorcerers and others who drew energy from their dragon blood, though they themselves might not exhibit spellcasting ability. A mutation warrior. While most fighters rely on physical fitness and rigorous training to achieve martial superiority, a few prefer to create and imbibe dangerous concoctions that transform them into fearsome creatures. Wow. Then we have Titan Fighter. Titan Fighters make use of enormous weapons others can barely lift. What? You can use giant weapon. At first level, you can wield a two-handed melee in one hand. Wow. Crazy. Tower Shield Specialist. Many fighters believe the Tower Shield is a tool suitable only for troops on the battlefield, claiming it is too large and bulky to use in skirmishes or within dungeon corridors. Tower Shield Specialists defy those notions, using their massive shields with startling skill and incredible effect. They use these seemingly clumsy shields to perform deft maneuvers that confound their enemies. In a two-handed fighter, some fighters focus their efforts on finding the biggest, heaviest, most imposing weapon they can find, and training to manage and harness the weight of their massive weapons for maximum impact. These fighting school benefits only apply when using two-handed weapons. Then we've got a Hunter, which is different than the Ranger. Hunter is 3-star. They do have a lot of range, but they have pretty balanced everything else. A little bit of everything, except control. 3-star difficulty. Hunters fight side by side with their animal companions. They can use both melee and ranged weapons and employ some divine spells that let them empower themselves and their companions. A colluding scoundrel is a canny and conniving skirmisher, manipulating her enemies and leveraging her allies for her own benefit. Divine Hound. Some hunters specialize in hunting other people side by side with a loyal friend. Divine Hunter. While most hunters heed the call of nature and fight to protect its bounty, some are inspired to serve a higher power. These divine hunters use faith to aid them in their struggles, and their faith infuses their animal companions, making these companions champions of their deities. A forester. While all hunters have a bond with the natural world, a forester has a stronger tie to her environment than to the animals within it. While most foresters feel strong bonds with woodland regions, the archetype functions well in other terrains as well. In such cases, a forester might refer to herself by a different name that more accurately reflects her chosen terrain. For example, a forester who favors bogs and marshes might call herself a swamper, while one who favors frozen regions might call herself a glacier guardian. As foresters gain levels and take on new favored terrains, they often eschew such titles completely, viewing them as unnecessary, and merely refer to themselves as guardians of the wild or champions of nature's will, but regardless of the name, their devotion remains. Tandem Executioner. Many hunters rely not on spells, but on rigorous training with their animal companion. Urban Hunter. Urban hunters help guards track down and apprehend criminals or spies, find lost children and disaster victims, and protect animals from abuse in the city. They still draw their inspiration and strength from the natural world, marveling at how nature flourishes wherever the city allows. And finally, Wandering Marksmen. They're used to diverting enemy attention from him to his animal companion and then striking from a distance. Very cool. Then we have Inquisitor, 3-star difficulty. Bunch of melee and range, some defense, a bit of magic actually, good amount of magic, no support, no control, or very little. Inquisitors are their deities' weapons of retribution. They possess many divine spells, mostly using them to empower themselves and fight with a weapon favored by their deity. Depending on their specialization, an Inquisitor can be deadly in melee or ranged combat. Faith Hunter. Certain relentless Inquisitors born with special hatred for an enemy of specific convictions, and they stop at nothing when obsessively hunting these foes down. Judge. The strength of conviction of some Inquisitors is so great that they can, with a single word, sentence an enemy to death while increasing their allies' power. Living Grimoire. The Living Grimoire literally wields the sacred word of his deity, using his holy tome to smite the foes of his god with divine might. Unlike most Inquisitors, a Living Grimoire focuses on careful study of divine scripture, valuing knowledge over intuition. Monster Tactician. While most Inquisitors have learned to take advantage of the movements of their opponents and allies in combat, some instead summon creatures as a means of claiming strategic advantage, exploiting the mystic connection between themselves and their summoned creatures to impart a bit of their own tactical knowledge. Sacred Huntsmaster. Some Inquisitors create a strong bond with an animal companion, and they hunt and punish threats to the faith as an awe-inspiring duo. When they work together as one, there are few that dare to stand in their way. Sanctified Slayer. While all Inquisitors root out enemies of the faith, in many orders and churches there's a select group of these religious hunters devoted to one goal, and one goal alone, to terminate the enemies of the faith wherever they can be found. Sometimes these sanctified slayers are given special dispensation to commit ruthless murders for the faith's greater good. Other times they're simply willing to take the initiative to revel in the zeal of such grisly work. And finally, Tactical Leader. Rather than pursuing their holy missions alone, some Inquisitors see the inherent value of working with like-minded allies to accomplish mutual goals. So this is like mind-blowing already, guys. Like, this is so cool. Wow, look at Kineticist, 5-star difficulty. They've got all ranged, and that's about it. Kineticist is one of the most difficult classes to master. They are the masters of elements, capable of creating elemental blasts with almost no boundaries. These blasts can be devastating to the enemies. Blood Kineticist. To a Blood Kineticist, the water in a creature's blood is just like any other sort, and she uses that knowledge to brutal ends. Dark elementalists, some kineticists who are loath to suffer the consequences of channeling their power, study the darkest esoteric energies of the planes, and use souls to fuel their occult might. The spiritual tortures these dark elementalists inflict upon their victims' souls are horrifically selfish acts on par with the actions of demons. Wow. Elemental engines. Some kineticists use the overflowing elemental power seeping through their bodies to manifest additional powers. Kinetic Knight dons armor and wields a blade of elemental energy. Kinetic Knights are rare in the Inner Sea region, but are not unknown. Many realize their elemental powers while training for battle. Whoa, look at all the stuff they get. Kinetic Blade. Kinetic Sharpshooter. They're skilled marksmen who complement their attacks with blasts of energy. They produce elemental projectiles in advance and store them in special quivers, so that when the time comes, they can obliterate entire swaths of enemies with their charged shots. And the lore is so cool because this is all so believable in this fantasy world already. Like, really crazy. Overwhelming soul. Some kineticists have such a powerful personality that they can seize control of their element with their minds alone without endangering their bodies. And a psychokineticist. While most kineticists channel elemental power through their bodies, rare kineticists channel such power through their minds. Psychokineticists lack strong spirit, and so this energy ravages their minds but unleashes power locked in their ruptured emotions. Sometimes a psychokineticist inadvertently unleashes his power when he experiences an outburst of strong emotion, potentially making a psychokineticist an outcast or even an accidental killer. Then we've got Magus, 5-star difficulty, tons of melee and magic, bit of control, and that's about it. Magus is an arcane spellcaster who fights with a weapon in one hand and a spell in the other. They are very effective attackers thanks to a vast array of both offensive and defensive spells. However, playing this class takes a lot of attention and micromanagement. And they've got extra classes, more than 7. They've got like 8. Arcane Rider. When a Magus gains a special bond with his mount, he becomes an Arcane Rider. The Magus and his faithful companion not only begin to think as one, but literally become a single arcane entity. They share one arcane pool and can move through dimensions together, plunging enemies into confusion with sudden attacks from nowhere. Armored Battle Mage. Many Battle Mages focus purely on destructive evocations, but some extend their tactical studies to include use of the tried and true protection of steel. These armored battle mages learn to move and cast spells in even the most restrictive armors, and have developed new methods to magically enhance their armor. That is very cool. Then we have Bladebound. A select group of magi are called to carry a black blade, a sentient weapon of often unknown and possibly unknowable purpose. This weapon can become both an invaluable silent assistant and a militant parasite. Manifest the Black Blade. Wow. Can communicate with it telepathically. That is so wild. I love it. Eldritch Archer. They rain magical attacks down on her foes. Eldritch Scion. Unlike typical magi, Eldritch Scions do not study tomes of magic or spend time learning to combine martial and magical skills. Rather, Eldritch Scions find that their spells and abilities come to them instinctively. Hexcrafter. Magus has discovered the secret of using his arcane pool to recreate witch hexes. These magi can hex friend and foe, curse those they strike, and expand their spell selection to include many curses and harmful spells. Spell Dancer must be an elf. The strong emphasis on wizards within elven culture influences how even non-wizard elves see themselves. Many elven magi do not consider themselves masters of a blend of martial and magical talents, but rather a subcategory of wizards who study the effect of physical movement and techniques upon spellcasting ability. They believe their ability to cast spells while fighting is an outgrowth of the concept of the spell dance, which itself is just another kind of wizardry. Pretty cool. And finally, Sword Saint spends his life focusing his training and meditation into a rapturous perfection of the use of a single weapon, which is usually but not always a sword, channeling his arcane might through it in a dizzying and deadly dance beyond the abilities of even the greatest of mundane warriors. Very cool. Then we have Monk. 2 stars, a lot of melee, bit of defense, bit of magic. 2-star difficulty. Monks are masters of martial arts, deadly in melee combat. They fight with their bare hands or with special monk weapons. A monk must have a lawful alignment or they won't be able to advance. They have a bunch of more too. They have 8 total. Drunken Master. Most monks lead lives of moderation and quiet contemplation, but the Drunken Master finds perfection through excess. Powered by strong wine, he uses his intoxication to reach a state where his ki is more potent, if somewhat fleeting. That's awesome, a Drunken Master. Quarterstaff Master. Some monks focus their efforts on perfecting the way of one of the simplest weapons, a quarterstaff. They train until the quarterstaff becomes a natural extension of their own body. That sounds awesome. Scaled Fist. Steeped in traditions that trace their origins to the warrior monks who trained under the tutelage of draconic masters, Scaled Fists eschew passive introspection in favor of unshakable confidence. Scaled Fists learn to combine brutal intimidation with the brazen ferocity of an ancient worm to devastate their foes. Very cool. Sensei. The sensei is a revered teacher who imparts lessons of the oneness of mind, body, and spirit, along with the occasional correction that is subtle and swift. Rather than using wisdom for his own benefit alone, he uses it to better those around him. A Sohei. The Sohei are masters of the horse and the hunt. A monastic soldier, the Sohei is equally adept at combat afoot or on horseback. While skilled in unarmed techniques, many Sohei favor weapons they can use while mounted on horseback or against others' horses. Student of Stone. By following the path of the stone, students of stone give up much of monks' mobility in favor of sheer resilience, and they must be an Oread. Whatever that is, like a rock creature or something. We'll get to races eventually. Traditional monks walk the strict path of discipline with thousands of predecessors trod before them. They sacrifice the freedom to choose their power in exchange for steeled willpower and the trusted set of traditional abilities. And then Zen Archer. Some monks seek to become one with another weapon entirely, the bow. The Zen Archer takes a weapon which most other monks eschew and seeks perfection in the pull of a taut bowstring, the flex of a bow's limbs, and the flight of an arrow fired true. Very cool. The monks sound cool. Then we have Oracle. We're almost kind of done. Oracle is 3 stars. Whoa, lots of support, lots of magic, bit of control, and that's about it. Oracles are powerful defiant spellcasters, 3-star difficulty. Did I say that? Who have access to the most powerful divine magic. They can effectively heal and empower their allies or devastate their enemies. Oracles have access to a limited number of spells and only gain new ones as they advance in level. This makes them less flexible, but they can cast more spells before needing a rest. And we've got 8 here. Divine Herbalists. Divine Herbalists practice an obscure alchemical art which involves medicinal and restorative techniques that transcend ordinary alchemy, allowing them to blur the line between alchemical medicine and divine miracles. Dual Cursed Oracle. All oracles are cursed to some degree, but some oracles bear an even heavier burden. But I'm sure there's some good rewards for doing that. Enlightened Philosopher seeks truth through compassion, moderation, and humility. By following her philosophy's teachings, she aspires to reach enlightenment and become one with the universe. Cool, I dig it. Lone Strider. A Lone Strider is a recluse who gained her oracular powers from isolation in a deep desert, on a mountain peak, or in another secluded location. A connection to untraveled places gives the lone strider powers to evade her enemies. A possessed oracle. Some oracles are possessed by spirits, demons, or similar beings. Instead of drawing her powers from deities, a possessed oracle has these otherworldly forces work their magic through her. Purifier needs to be an Aasimar, which is a magical being. The Purifier seeks out signs of possession or mind control that manifest from unwilling and often unwitting servants for fiendish corruptors and their mortal minions. A Purifier seeks liberation of mind, body, and spirit from the bondage of sin and the taint of the unholy. Seeker. Oracles gain their magical powers through a strange and mysterious ways, be they chosen by fate or blood. While most might be content with their strange powers, some oracles join the Pathfinders specifically to find out more about their mysteries and determine the genesis and history of their eldritch talents. These spellcasters are known as Seekers, after their obsession with researching ancient texts and obscure ruins for any clues they can find about their heritage and histories. Very cool. And Wind Whisperer. People often find themselves listening to the rustle of the wind, but only a handful of them hear whispering of the mighty nature element and can use it as a source of power. Literally whispers to the wind. Then we have Paladins. There are 8 of them, it looks like, and 2-star difficulty. They are pretty balanced. Bunch of magic and defense and ranged, and even some support magic and some regular magic and a bit of control. Paladins are fighting evil on the front lines. They are good at destroying especially powerful evil creatures. As they advance, they gain access to a small number of basic divine spells, focusing mostly on healing and empowering themselves and their allies. A paladin must have a lawful good alignment or they will lose most of their powers. Okay, one sec, guys. I will be right back. Alright, we're back. I'm starting to get a little stuffy, so please bear with me. We have the Divine Guardian. The Divine Guardian devotes herself to the protection and guardianship of one creature at a time, be that her liege lord, an allied cleric, or an innocent facing overwhelming danger at the hands of evil. The Divine Guardian devotes herself to the concerns of the material world, eschewing some divine studies. She does not gain access to divine spellcasting. Oh, that's interesting. Divine Hunter. Most paladins rush into battle meeting evil toe-to-toe. The Divine Hunter prefers to engage evil from afar, striking down her foes before they can threaten her allies. Divine Scions are paladins who improve their battle prowess not only through faith but also through knowledge. They study their enemies to find the most efficient methods of dealing with them. Hospitaller. Paladins are known for their charity and for tending to the sick. The Hospitaller takes to this calling above all others, spending much of her time healing the poor and giving aid and succor to those in need. A Martyr. Every paladin's code instructs him to put the welfare of others before his own, but some paladins take this further than most, shouldering the direst suffering of the world onto themselves in order to help others, and inspiring their allies to achieve heights of valor rather than seeking the glory for themselves. They have a Stigmata. Stone Lord. Requires to be a dwarf. A Stone Lord is a devoted sentinel of dwarven enclaves, drawing the power of the earth and ancient stone to protect her people. Tortured Crusaders endure physical, mental, and spiritual trials. Despite knowing they may not ultimately win, they persist, fueled by a dedication to righteousness over hopelessness. And then finally, Warrior of the Holy Night. Some paladins use their gifts to focus on the holy light that shines within their souls. With the gifts of purity and redemption, these paladins spend much of their lives helping others find the true path. Unleashing the power takes patience and comes at a steep price. Then we go to Ranger. We'll see how they're different from Hunters. Whoa. All the way up in melee and ranged, and quite a bit of magic. That's about it though. 2-star difficulty. Rangers are adept at exterminating certain types of enemies. Rangers can become masters of any kind of weapons depending on the combat style they choose. Thanks to their unique abilities, Rangers are some of the best dual-wielding warriors. Only 7 subclasses for them. We have Demon Slayer. They are known for their expertise in the destruction of demons. Espionage expert. These Rangers' favorite hunting grounds aren't woods or mountains, but city streets and enemy headquarters. These masterful spies hunt for secrets rather than meat, using lies and stealthiness as effectively as blades and arrows. Very cool. Flame Warden. Emulating the blazing phoenix, Flame Wardens sweep through the world like a selective forest fire, burning away corruption, evil, and those who cling to decay. Then we've got the Freebooter. Freebooter is a natural leader, a pirate who works well with a variety of people and in a variety of roles. Her specialized combat tactics help organize and direct a crew, and Freebooter's talents are in high demand. Most freebooters work as independent agents. A freebooter signs on with a crew when she feels the urge to travel, and often moves to a new ship when her contract ends. Cool. Sailing Ranger. Nomad. For some rangers living in vast plains, their horses are an irreplaceable part of their lives, and their bows are a natural extension of their arms. Very cool. Sable Company Marines receive their training at the elite Endrin Military Academy in Corvosa. A large portion of their education is the handling and riding of hippogriffs, the iconic mount of members of their company. Pretty cool. Hippogriff Companion, right from the start, level 1. And finally, Stormwalker. Rangers who walk in the Tempest unafraid, draw the power of the storm into themselves and become Stormwalkers. Not too shabby. Now let's head up to Rogue, which is 1-star difficulty. Give them all the melee, quite a bit of range, and even a little teensy bit of control. Rogue's main role in the party is dealing a horrendous amount of damage to enemies in melee combat. They don't have much health, but can be hard to hit thanks to their high agility. Rogue also possesses a number of useful skills, from lying to picking locks and diffusing traps. And they have the Dark Lurker, also known as the Hungry Knight. Use darkness as their ally. Eldritch Scoundrel. Students of arcane magic, legerdemain, and stealth. Eldritch Scoundrels are a rare breed of adventurer, most commonly found seeking lost and valuable arcane writings in the ruins of fallen empires. Knife Master Rogue. The Knife Master is a trained killer who specializes in close-up combat and the wave and weave of knife fighting. In her hands, daggers and other similar light blades become truly deadly instruments. Very cool. A master of all. Some half-elves spend all their time gaining new knowledge and skills, becoming masters of all. Then we've got Rowdy. Sometimes brute force is as effective as trickery and stealth, and sometimes even more. Rowdies prefer their approach and are true masters of inflicting lots of pain in a straightforward manner. Sylvan Tricksters are rogues who model themselves after the mischievous Fae of legend. Though not spellcasters, Sylvan Tricksters learn minor magical abilities reminiscent of those favored by Fae creatures. The journey for many Sylvan Tricksters begin in childhood, learning at an elder's knee the stories of the Fae and the secrets of how to resist their tricks. Sylvan Tricksters often live in areas where the boundary with the Fae world is thin, and a few have even been there, voluntary or not. Thug. Some criminals steal with finesse, their victims only discovering the crime when the rope is long and gone, and the coin already spent. A thug, on the other hand, cares nothing for finesse. Through both threat and violence, the thug gets what she wants by the promise of force and has no problem making good on that promise as needed. Truly a thug. And then an underground chemist. They are part of the rotting, fetid underbelly of the alchemical world. While underground chemists can't hold a candle to dedicated alchemists, they're tricky and dangerous with alchemical substances and potions. And they can also do their kind of they can brew potions up to level 3 and level 1. Chemical weapons. On throw anything, so you have to make it and then throw, I guess. Alright, let's see how long we've been playing, guys. My eyes are closing a little bit. I hope yours aren't, but this is what it takes to play this game. Kind of just making ourselves familiar with the classes. There's not a ton of races, so we'll get through that quickly. Then, we play it by ear as we go. Let's go ahead and do Shaman while we're here. 4-star difficulty and all over the place. A bunch of support, pretty good magic, and even melee. Interesting. Shamans are divine spellcasters who have access to the strongest spells of this type. Shaman have a great versatility in terms of customizing their build for the player's preferred style. Depending on their chosen specialization, a shaman can massacre enemies, support and heal allies, or control and weaken the foes. However, playing as a shaman is pretty difficult and not recommended for new players. 4 stars. It hit my water bottle, guys. Interesting. They have 8 subclasses. Possessed Shaman. For a possessed shaman, merely communicating with the spirit world is insufficient. Instead, she invites the spirits to share her body, granting them the chance to experience corporeal existence. In return, they grant her their skills, and protect her from otherworldly influence. Prophet of Pestilence. A shaman who has made a deal with the Horseman of Pestilence, a powerful entity from Abaddon, voluntarily binds herself to the source of all disease. That is not good. You must be evil or neutral for that, it looks like. Shadow Shaman. The best friends of some shamans are shadows, which they use to conceal their actions and find the best opportunities to attack their foes. Spirit Hunter. Most shamans seek spirits to learn from them. Spirit hunters pursue them to eliminate. Some of these loners are on a quest to rid the world of evil spirits and restless ghosts. Others fight spirits to gain more power, and some join the wars spirits wage among themselves, no matter how mysterious and inscrutable for a mortal's mind these could be. Spirit hunters learn to enchant their weapons, so it could harm the incorporeal enemies as easily as mortal flesh. Very cool. Spirit Warden. Not all spirits deserve reverence and respect. Some are twisted and despicable. It's a spirit warden's duty to end these spirits' existence. An unsworn shaman never binds herself to one specific spirit, always making new deals as she deems necessary for the circumstances that she finds herself in. While this weakens the power she can access from any one spirit, it gives her access to a broader overall range of abilities. The Wildland Shaman have to be a half-orc. The half-orcs living in the wasteland have long learned a harsh lesson. The fittest survives and the fittest rules. Their shamans do not communicate with spirits. They prefer to forcefully subjugate animals and battle spirits. The only kind of spirits they approve, for those who do not fight and do not serve the strongest, are destined to die, such as the law of the wasteland. And finally, Witch Doctor. The Witch Doctor is a healer who specializes in afflictions of the soul. Often misunderstood, she protects her tribe with healing powers, powerful defensive magic, and her own divine witchcraft. So we're almost done, guys. We are going to do the extras down here, though, too, next episode. Can't wait. Let's go ahead and look at Shifter to end it. 3-star difficulty. Wow, Shifters have all the melee, and that's about it. A little bit of control. 3 stars. The Shifter class offers players a way to experience a shape-shifting character that is more martially inclined than a spellcasting druid. With each new level, the shifter's powers grow in new and surprising ways, creating a character that thrives in battle, exploration, and stealth. Child of the Manticore. Manticores are known to breed with many lion-like creatures, and shifters in lion forms are no exception. Perhaps you are the result of someone's vile experiment, or some other circumstances have dictated that your shifting abilities have become twisted by manticore blood. Wow. Dragon blood shifters draw upon their inherent strength and majesty of the true dragons, gaining a measure of their powers from their association. Fey form shifter, intimately linked to the first world and can draw from it to gain otherworldly powers. Fiend flesh shifter, the corruption of the world wound has transformed your shifting body into something fiendish. You have adapted to your new body and grown accustomed to using the evil energy inside you to hunt evil outsiders. Rage Shaper. Not all shifters represent the balance of nature. The Rage Shaper is a destructive force of nature brought to bear, a wild and uncontrollable engine of annihilation fueled by wrath. Rage Shapers fly into a bloodletting frenzies and rain down devastation like unstoppable natural disasters. Dang, son. Were-touched shifter willingly embraces her inner bestial spirit, gaining the traits of were creatures. And then wild effigy. A wild effigy still takes on the shapes of natural animals, but rather than transforming her body into flesh and muscle, she transforms into constructed effigies of her chosen aspects. Yeah, this is so crazy, guys, and there's so much to it that, it might take 5 episodes just to get through character creation, but how cool it is, right? You can see how they level up. Check out these stats, which we didn't check, but I guess when we go to choose a character, we can check this. High base attack bonus. Pretty decent HP. Fortitude high. Reflex high. Okay, so I'm going to end it here today. And we'll pick up with the Scald next time. As you can see, there is a good several left, but we'll get through it and continue on in the LP. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. I appreciate y'all. Hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy and you'd like to see more, go ahead and drop a like, aka give this video a thumbs up, and you can leave a comment as well. Just lets me know that you want to see more, then more will get made of this series if you want. And yeah, you can also subscribe if you're new. I invite you to. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads, but only do any of those things if you really want to, guys. No pressure. It's all good. That said, we are going to stop here. I hope you'll join me next time as we continue working on character creation and more going forward. So until next time, guys, be well, live well, stay well. Much love, peace, and joy from me to you. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.